What's up, everybody? Welcome to Vona, Butcher of Magan Deck Tech. Hope you're excited. I ended up going black-white control with Vona, but I'll kind of break that down here in a second. Let's actually start with Vona, the card itself. So we have Vona, 3 colorless, white and a black, Vigilance and Lifelink, tap, pay 7 life, destroy target non-land permanent, activate this ability only during your turn. Now, just to kind of keep on theme with that destroy target non-land permanent, I kind of wanted to go with a black-white control style shell with Vona. We have a very light hate bears package in here. We have a lot of your standard removal in here. Some other options you could go with Vona would definitely be going something like Night Tribal or even Vampire Tribal if you wanted to go kind of a little bit more of a fun route. But with Vona having that pay 7 life destroy target non-land permanent ability, it really felt to me like it would slot really well into a control style deck, and that's where we ended up going. Now, that pay 7 life, that may seem pretty steep even for Commander, but if you're getting in a position to where you have a lot of removal in your hand, you can kind of clear the board to swing in with Vona. You're going to be able to swing in with that Vigilance and Lifelink, and then once you get to your second main phase, you can pay that 7 life to destroy target non-land permanent, but you gain that 4 life, so it's really like you're just paying 3 life to destroy a permanent, and it really allows you to, if you have a couple different pieces of spot removal, you can really get some good board control when you start activating Vona's ability. Now, one of the first things I wanted to do was really amplify Vona's activated ability. So we have Illusioner's Bracers and Strionic Resonator. Both of these are going to allow us to copy that effect where we can get double destroy effects. Now, outside of copying the effects, we're also running some light Voltron pieces in here. Kind of depends on what you want to put in here. I only ended up running 2 of the swords, but you could probably, you could run anywhere upwards of, all 5 swords if you wanted to, if you're going to go Voltron. Sword of Fire and Ice deals 2 damage to target creature or player, and we get to draw cards, a little bit of card advantage. And then Sword of Feast and Famine is really going to be able to put some work in there with that protection from black and green. And then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, we get to untap all of our lands, and they have to discard a card. Also running Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots as a way to make sure Vona stays on the battlefield. This is one of those decks that we definitely want to get Vona down and make sure Vona stays protected. So we're going to get as many activations as possible. Even throwing a Lightning Greaves on there, we're not going to be able to equip some of the Sword and Fire and Ice on there once we get Lightning Greaves on there. But as long as Vona's protected, we can start doing that 7 life activation and really start applying some pressure to our opponent's board. Now, outside of the Voltron and copying Vona's triggered ability, we're also running some life swapping packages in here. We have Axis of Mortality and Mirror Universe. Both are really fun cards. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may have 2 target players exchange life totals. And this does cost 6 mana. It's a little expensive, but it slots perfectly into the Vona deck. Let's say that we get Vona down and we keep going for those activations. We've paid a lot of life. We get down Axis of Mortality, and the next thing you know, we can exchange life totals with our opponent and use it like something like an Exsanguinate to help us close it out. Same thing with Mirror Universe. Sacrifice it, exchange life totals with target opponent. Play this ability only during your upkeep. Now, the important thing with Mirror Universe and Axis of Mortality is that these are life changes. Whenever you exchange life totals, it's going to trigger a life gain for yourself. So, if you have anything that cares about life gain, it's going to trigger that particular card. Take, for example, Exquisite Blood and Sanguine Bond. Whenever opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So let's say, if we have both of these on the battlefield, we're going to be able to win the game because they're going to trigger off of each other. But let's say that we do have Mirror Universe on the battlefield and we go for Sanguine Bond. Whenever we gain life, target opponent's going to lose that much life. So that should be a good way for us to help close it out. For exchanging life totals, because we're going to have the lower life total, and then Mirror Universe is going to count as a life gain. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're building Vona. Now, since we do care about the life that we're gaining, we're running a few utility cards in here. We have Well of Lost Dreams. Whenever you gain life, you may pay X, where X is less than equal number of life you gain. You draw X cards. This is just a good way for us to kind of keep the card draw flowing. And there's just different incremental ways for us to gain life. You take Fumigate, for example. Destroy all creatures, you gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. It's a great way for us to keep those Vona activations going, and at the same time, trigger something like Well of the Lost Dreams. We're also running Tainted Remedy and Tainted Sigil. Now, with Tainted Sigil, really good. Like we covered before with the Mirror Universe and the Axis of Mortality, you sacrifice it. Let's say that our opponent's at 30 and we're at 10. When we swap life totals, we're going to go to 30. That's going to be 30 life that we've gained technically for the turn. So we sacrifice Tainted Sigil. We're going to gain an additional 30, go to 60, and they're going to go to 10. Sometimes it may just give you a good enough of a life buffer to make sure you can help close the game out. Now, once we get into spots where we can exchange life totals and give our opponent a not so good life total, we have running a couple finishers in here to help us close it out. We have Debt to the Debtless, Exsanguinate, and Sanguine Sacrament. Good thing about Sacrament is that we're going to gain twice X life and put it on the bottom of its library. So we can use it again to tutor it up, or we can simply just tap out and gain a ton of life and keep those Vona activations going. And then same thing with Debt to the Debtless and Exsanguinate. Depending on what sort of enchantment board state we have, we can use it to close it out even if we don't exchange life totals. Now, outside of some of these ways to help us close the game out, these are some of the value creatures that really shined in my playtesting. We have Obsidian Ghost Council. It's going to allow that taxing effect, 2 life, and our opponent loses 2 life. Blood Baron of Vizkopa. This is one of those that if we kind of get the planet still line and we have a lot of lifelink going, once you get to that 30 life, it's going to get that +6/+6, and it's really kind of hard for your opponents to kind of deal with that. And then Odric, really good utility card. It's going to give all of our creatures vigilance and lifelink, which is really going to help us propel past that those activations and make sure we can help close the game out. We're also running stuff like Vizkopa Guildmage and Karlov. Vizkopa is a wonderful card. I love this card. You can use that second activation and kind of stack that. Whenever you gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. So let's say we don't have something like Exsanguinate in the hand. We're simply just swinging in with Vona. We can activate that ability a couple times, and we're going to gain that life, and they're going to lose that much life. Or we can use that to target creature gains lifelink if we need to, but for the most part, you can be using that second ability on Vizkopa, and you can stack those effects. We also have Karlov. This is just, for running a life gain deck, and we can put a bunch of counters on there as an extra source of removal. Hey, get after it. So he was pretty good in the deck, too. Now, outside of the value creatures, we're also running a very light Hate Bears package, or just kind of like a hate package. We have Imposing Sovereign, Blind Obedience, Authority of the Councils. These are all cards that are going to make sure our opponents enter the battlefield tapped, which is really going to help us push in with Vona. Because the last thing we want to do is have a cluttered board state. We want to be able to swing in with Vona, and then make sure we can get those activations and get a clean hit with that to make sure we can gain that life. Then we have Avian Mind Sensor and Cabal. These are both just good utility hate cards. Avian Mind Sensor, we can flash that in response to some sort of tutor or our opponent searching up a land. And then Cabal is going to allow us to kind of get a little bit extra tax off some of our opponent's non-creature spells to make sure that we don't get too low of a life total with our Vona activations. Now, that will wrap up the deck tech. I have 3 gameplay videos for you, so if you want to go check it out, head over to the playlist. And if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.